Whoops. I am trying to get the right window up here to fix what you're seeing right there. And maybe I can get it here. It's always something. So hang in here. There we go. There. Is that better? Sorry about that, guys. Yep. Gotta love a live stream. It's always something. Hey, guys, welcome. I'm super excited that you're here. This has been something I've been looking forward to for about a week now. This was a special training that we did last week, but we didn't do it on social media. So we thought we'd roll it out here. So in case you don't know me, I'm Michael Hyatt. I'm the founder and the chairman of Full Focus. We make the Full Focus Planner. We also have a business coaching program called Business Accelerator, some courses, books, and so forth. I'll get into all that in a minute. But yeah, Brian, there it is. Absolutely. So where are you guys watching from? Go ahead in the chat. I'm going to just make sure that I'm getting all the feeds from all the different places. So I see Jumpstart Business Builders. Awesome. Brian, I see you. Steven. Cool. All right, where are you watching from? I'm in Nashville, Tennessee tonight, broadcasting from my studio behind my house. Wyoming. Love Wyoming. One of my favorite places on the planet for sure. Okay, we're gonna get started here. Again, this special training, just make sure you're in the right place here, is called From Burnout to Balance, with the subtitle, How to Succeed as a Business Owner with Less Stress, Less Time, Less Strain on Your Personal Life. So this is a keynote speech that I typically give for corporations who pay me, frankly, a lot of money to give it, but I'm giving it tonight for free because I want to interact with you guys. And we're going to have a time for questions at the end. So if you have a question, as we go through the content this evening, and I say this evening because I'm on Central Time and it's a little after 7 o'clock, but wherever you're watching from, we're gonna have some time at the end of this special training for Q&A. So here's the thing I want you to notice. If you have a question, if you would precede it with a Q, like question, and a colon, that way from the entire comment stream, I can pick out your questions and make sure that I answer them appropriately. Okay? All right, let's get started. Dive in. We're going to probably go for about an hour, and then we'll have a time for questions. And, I'll stay here probably as long as you have questions. So the content itself, I hope to finish in about maybe 40 minutes, and then we'll take questions from there. Okay? So let me start with a story. In the year 2000, I achieved a lifelong career goal. I became the publisher of a major book publishing company, Nelson Books, one of Thomas Nelson Publishers' 14 book publishing divisions. But here's the thing. Soon after I took the job, I found out what the real score was with that division. And I discovered that we were dead last in revenue growth. We were dead last in profitability. The morale of that division was kind of through the floor because nobody likes to lose, and we were losing big time. And so the CEO asked me, he said, how long is it going to take you to turn this division around? Now, just between us, I didn't really have a clue. I just pulled a number out of the air and I said, I think it's going to take probably about 3 years. And he said, that was kind of the number I was thinking, so have at it. So I went off on kind of a private retreat and I cobbled together sort of this preliminary vision script. I didn't call it a vision script at the time, but it was kind of a vision of what I wanted to see over the course of the next 3 years. And it had things like, I wanted to achieve so many New York Times bestsellers for my division. I wanted to be the fastest growing division in the company, which was an enormous goal because our growth was going backwards. And one of the bullets, there were 10 of them total, but I can't remember all of them. But another one was that I wanted to be the most profitable division in the company. So I went back, shared that vision with my team. They got really pumped up. We rolled up our sleeves and we worked hard. I mean, we sacrificed our evenings, we sacrificed weekends, but in 18 months, so in a year and a half, we turned that division around. In fact, we went from number 14 to number 1 in revenue growth. We were the fastest growing division in the entire company. We went from 14 to number 1 in profitability. We were the most profitable division in the company. And of course, the morale was great. Now, why was the morale so good? Because everybody likes winning and everybody got a big bonus check, including me. In fact, I got the biggest bonus check I've ever received in my entire career. It was more than my annual salary. I couldn't believe it. So I couldn't wait to take that check home and show it to my wife, Gail. Now, Gail and I have been married for 44 years, and she's always been my biggest cheerleader. She's always been my support. She's always been somebody that's just so supportive. I can't even emphasize that enough. So I bounced through the back door. I found her in the house, and I unfurled the check, and I said, "Honey, look at this check. Can you believe this?" And she looked at it, and she wasn't her usual enthusiastic self. And I thought, uh-oh, something's up. And then she said to me, she said, "We need to talk." And I thought, oh boy. So we went into the den, we sat down, and here's how she started. She began to tear up a little bit. She said, "You know, I love you, and I so appreciate everything you do for our family. But I got to be honest, you're never home. And your 5 daughters, yes, 5, need you now more than ever." And she said, "Even when you are home, you're not fully present. You know, your head is somewhere else." And she said, and then she began to cry, and she said, "Honestly, I feel like a single mom." Well, I hated it. That was not what I was going for. And it really shocked me when she said that. And I thought, what am I going to do? I mean, yeah, I was crushing it at work, but here's the thing. My work was crushing my family. But I'd worked for this opportunity for my entire career. I'd finally achieved my dream job, and I didn't want to give up my chance to lead. After all, my team, who had also worked hard, they'd been in the trenches with me. They'd been working, missing evenings and weekends, sometimes working. And they were counting on me too. And then there was my family, the girls, Gail. They needed me at home. And I felt like I was facing the impossible choice. Now, I don't know if you've ever been there before, but this is where you can either win at work or succeed at life. You can't have both. You have to pick one. So I think, honestly, faced with that choice, most of us do one or two things. And here's what they are. First of all, we hustle harder. We think if we can just move faster, work smarter, keep grinding, we'll eventually succeed and be able to relax. But here's the problem. Working harder just leads to neglect. Neglect of our health, our most important relationships, and our personal dreams. And it's a certain path to burnout, to one-sided success. And I'm sure that some of you have felt that yourselves. But the alternative is to cut back. And this is where we refuse to shortchange our health or our family or our work for our work. So we intentionally cut back. We apply what I sometimes call the ambition break. The problem is that leads to a lot of dissatisfaction. We secure our personal priorities, but at the expense of developing our potential and really fulfilling our calling. And that's why we call it the impossible choice. And every day at Full Focus, my company, we encounter leaders just like you who feel like they've got to choose. It's either win at work or succeed at life. You can't do both. I didn't like those options, and that sent me on a quest. And I spent about a decade trying to figure out how could I achieve what I now call the double win. And this is where you're unwilling to compromise your contribution either at work or at home, and you discover that they're actually symbiotic. So that when you're giving time to your family and they're getting the attention that they deserve, and you're getting the rest you deserve, and you're taking care of your health, that enables you to come to work more focused, more creative, more productive. But by the same token, when you're at work, and you're really focused on that. You put hard boundaries around your work, but you're really focused at work. And that gives you a sense of satisfaction and gives you, obviously, the financial means to take care of your family and all the rest. But it's really possible to have both. And I'm going to show you a third option in this training tonight. I'm going to tell you how to get from where you are to where you want to be, where you don't have to either cut back or hustle more. Because I don't believe either one of those is a good alternative. It is possible to achieve more by doing less. You just need to have a strategy. But here's the problem. And by the way, in the chat, as I'm talking here, if you're a business owner, just say yes in the chat. I'd like to know how many business owners I've got in the room tonight. Okay, cool. That's helpful. All right. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Sean. The comments are a little slow to come in, so it takes just a minute. Robin, Ken, yes. Heather, great. Fantastic. Thanks, guys. You know, it's kind of what I call the entrepreneur's dilemma. And see if this makes sense, because at some point you started a business because you wanted business success. You wanted entrepreneurial freedom. And so one of the things you may have discovered in the process is that as your business success increased, here's what happened. Your personal freedom went the other direction. Am I right? By the way, let me just see if I can. I know that you guys are getting pinged every time I get a comment. I get pinged, and I'm not quite sure how to turn that off or if I can turn that off. So let me just see if I can. I don't know. I'm not going to try to figure it out right now. But that's how we often feel, right? So in order for us to experience personal freedom, that somehow we've got to compromise our business success. Or the reverse could be true too. We think the reverse is true, right? So here's what I discovered. And this is a better way to look at it. Business success, as it increases, you want your personal freedom to run parallel to that. So that as your business succeeds, your personal freedom expands. Now, if you would like that, give me a yes. Actually, give me a 7. Give me a 7 in the comments. If you'd like to see that kind of curve, where as your business succeeds, your personal freedom expands, then go ahead and give me a 7 in the comments, and I'll keep talking as we're going here. The comments will come in on a delay of about 20 to 30 seconds. But that's what I was after. And this is totally possible. Thank you, Jennifer, Stephen, MT Fox, excellent. Yeah, so the thing is, if you're skeptical that this is possible, I want you to suspend disbelief. Suspend your suspicion for just a minute, because I'm going to walk you through a way to do exactly this. Okay? So what I want to give you is a way to actually accomplish this. And I'm going to share with you 5 steps. And the first step is critical. It's first for a reason. Resist the illusion that your workload is temporary. Can I be honest with you? I lied to myself and I lied to my family for years. I would tell them things like this. Honey, you know, I don't have a marketing director right now. And until I do, I'm having to pull double duty. But once I get that position filled, then I'll be able to give you and the girls the time and attention that you need and deserve. Or I'd say, just as soon as we get this product launched, then I'll give you the time and attention you deserve. Or just as soon as I get this business started, whatever it was, I lied to myself, I lied to my family for all these years because I thought my situation was temporary and that it would be resolved soon. But here's the problem. One temporary situation led to another temporary situation that led to another temporary situation. And before long, it was no longer a temporary situation. It was a way of life. And so that's why this first step, we got to pretend we're on the honest planet tonight or today, wherever you're watching from. We got to pretend we're on the honest planet and admit that our workload is not temporary. It's become, unfortunately, permanent. Okay, so for each one of these steps, I want to give you an action item. Okay, so write this down. You're going to want to do this. And the first step is pretty simple. Be honest. Admit your situation is not temporary. Okay, if you're willing to do that, give me a 1 in the comments. Give me a 1 in the comments. You guys still with me? If you're willing to do this, willing to take this action, and be honest with yourself and with your family, that's where it begins. Give me a 1 in the comments. All right. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Brian, MT, Heather, Sharon, Yezek, great, Andrew, Jennifer, Brian. Excellent. Okay, you guys ready for the second one? Here's the second step. Second step is this. Recognize that not all work is of equal value. Now, I don't know how many items you have on your to-do list, but I promise you, not every item on your task list contributes to something important or to a goal. It doesn't necessarily advance your business, right? Some things are busy work. Some things are really strategic and really important, but not all items are created equal. So I want to give you a little bit of a model here. And I want us to consider passion and proficiency. So passion is what you love to do. These are those things that when you're engaged in something you're passionate about, you know what I'm talking about, time seems to disappear. You can look down at your watch for the first time and you go, oh my gosh, it's time for lunch. Where has the morning gone? And that's because you were doing something you were passionate about. But having passion is not enough to succeed in business. You need more than passion. You need proficiency. Now, proficiency is what you're good at and what drives results. These are the things that other people affirm. They can see it in you. These are things where you feel like, you know, I'm pretty good at this. This is those things that the market's willing to reward you by paying you to do this thing. So passion and proficiency, and I want to lay this out for you in a bit of a matrix, but we call it the freedom compass. Okay, so let me just build this for you. First of all, we have this axis. It's a passion axis. So one side is passionate, the other side is not passionate. Then we have proficiency. One side is proficient, the other side is not proficient. Okay, this creates for us essentially 4 zones. So we could flip this on its side, rotate it 45 degrees and have a simple 2x2 matrix, but I thought it was more interesting if we turned this into a compass, and it is indeed a compass. And I'm going to tell you where true north is, and I'm going to tell you all the zones you need to stay out of. So first of all, there's something that we call the desire zone. The desire zone is where your passion and your proficiency come together. You're passionate about that thing, you're good at it, the market rewards you for it. Passion and proficiency. It's going to be different for everybody. For me, it's whenever I'm creating content, whenever I'm delivering content, whenever I'm representing my brand, full focus. Those are things that I'm passionate about. Those are in my desire zone. Now, for you, it's going to be a completely different list. But whatever it is, it's something that lights you up. It's where you create the most leverage for your company. It's where it's what causes the business to advance. So you want to be working in your desire zone, and it's probably not going to be more than 3 to 5 things where you really have that passion and proficiency. And the more you stay in this zone, the bigger your contribution is and the bigger results to your business. Okay? Then we're going to move to the disinterest zone. This is where you don't really have any passion, but you're really good at it. And there's a lot of professionals that start out here where they're really passionate and proficient, but over time, they lose their passion. So it may be, for example, if you're a wealth advisor, you loved doing, financial planning for people. But over time, that doesn't get you too excited. You're really good at it. People pay you a lot of money to do it, but you just have lost the jazz. You've lost the juice. For me, a good example of that would be anything related to finance. So I'm really good at finance. I'm really good at corporate finance, and I had to be because I was running a large public company at one time. That company, Thomas Nelson, where I told you the story when I started, I eventually became the CEO of that company, and that was a publicly held company, and I had to go to school on becoming financially proficient. But after a while, I got bored. So there are things in your disinterest zone, and it's going to be different for everybody, but things where you just don't have the passion, but you're good at it. It's your disinterest zone. Okay, third zone, distraction zone. This is where we go to escape. So again, it's going to be different for everybody, but you have passion, but you're not very good at it. Not good enough that somebody's willing to pay you to do it, but it's a place you go to escape. Sometimes this is busy work. Sometimes this is fake work. But let me give you an example. For me, something in my distraction zone, years ago, back when I first started Full Focus, I was a solopreneur. So I had to do a little bit of everything. But rather than hire somebody to do my web development and my web design, I did it myself. And unfortunately, I brought down my website a few times because I wasn't that good at it. But I liked adding WordPress plugins, designing new blog headers. I should have been writing or preparing proposals for prospective consulting contracts, but I wasn't. I was lost in the distraction zone. A lot of activities. For a lot of people, this could be social media. There's a lot of things that could fall under this particular heading. But here's the worst one of all. So we call the drudgery zone. This is where you have no passion and no proficiency. Yeah. You don't want to be in this zone. For me, this is managing my email inbox, manage my calendar, doing expense reports, booking my travel. All those things are in my drudgery zone. Just shoot me. Those are things that aren't particularly valuable to the company. Somebody has to do them. And I'm going to talk to you in a moment about how do you get rid of these things that are in your drudgery zone, disinterest zone, and distraction zone. But for right now, I just want you to understand that not all tasks are created equal and that your tasks are going to fall into one of these zones. But that's the freedom compass. Okay, has everybody got that? You guys still with me? Give me a 2 in the chat. If you're still with me, give me a 2. I don't want to just be talking into the ether here. All right, takes a minute for the comments to roll in. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the third step here. You guys ready for this? Okay. There we go. Okay. All these 2s just flying in. Fantastic. All right. So I've got actually, before I get to the next one, I want to give you an action item. And here's your action item. Do the task filter exercise, because wouldn't it be cool to actually categorize your tasks in one of these 4 quadrants so that you know which tasks are which? So I've got an exercise for you, and it's really pretty simple. This is a worksheet that we use in our high-end business coaching program. It's called the task filter. We use this in Business Accelerator, okay? And I'm going to give you a link to this at the end of this presentation. So stay tuned for that. You're definitely going to want to get that. It's going to be a free download, but I'm not going to distract you right now. I want you to pay attention to what's on your screen. Okay, so all you need to do is go back into your calendar and your task list for about the last 2 to 3 weeks and write down every single task you can think of. All the things that you normally do in the ordinary course of business. And this is my personal example. Process my email inbox, manage my calendar, record podcast episodes, write new content, speak publicly, book travel and accommodations, and so forth. You can read the list. So come up with your list and just pay attention to that column on the left. Next thing I want you to do, under that next column, under passion, just go through and honestly ask yourself, am I passionate about this task? Do I enjoy doing it? Do I get lost in just the joy of doing it? Doesn't mean it's easy necessarily, but you're really satisfied when you do it. That means you have passion. So check off the items where you have passion. Like you can see here, writing new content for me. I have passion. Speak publicly. Coach clients one-on-one. Check social media feeds. So forth. Okay, then I want you to go through and check the items where you have proficiency. Okay, what are the items that you're really good at, regardless of whether you have passion? Okay, so for me, again, record podcast episodes. You notice I don't have a lot of passion around that. It really feels like work. Time grinds to a standstill, and it seems like it takes forever. I'm just being honest. But I think I'm pretty good at it. You know, our podcast does pretty well. We get tens of thousands of downloads every week. Okay? Then I want you to go through and name each of these zones. And you could refer to the previous slide if you want to. But remember that if you've got passion and proficiency, that is your desire zone. If you have proficiency but no passion, that's your disinterest zone. If you have passion but no proficiency, that's your distraction zone. And if you don't have either, that's simply your drudgery zone. So go through and write each of those zones. Now, we're going to come back to that sheet after the next point because we're not done with it yet. But that's the task filter exercise. I wanted to explain it to you so you know how to do it when you get the link a little bit later. This would be a great exercise to do. You could probably do it in about 30 minutes, but just book a little time in your calendar and go through it. It will be enormously enlightening. I promise you that. Okay, step number 3. This logically flows from the last one. Reduce your non-desire zone activities. So all those other quadrants, 2, 3, and 4, you want to get rid of. You want to keep the desire zone, but the other ones you want to somehow get rid of. Now, this is really important for you to hear me say this. This isn't going to happen overnight. Now, just having the distinction and the framework that I've given you will be tremendously helpful, and you're going to make a lot of progress initially, but it's going to take a while for you to clean that up. For me today, I work about 95% of my time in my desire zone where I'm passionate and proficient. But it took me a couple of years to get there. And what I want to share with you is a few strategies for how you do that. 3 strategies for reducing your non-desire zone activities. The first one is simply to eliminate the task. There are probably some tasks on your list that just need to be eliminated. They just need to go away. Not only do you not need to be doing them, probably nobody needs to be doing them. Maybe those tasks served a function or served a purpose at one point, but not really anymore, right? Sometimes this happens with meetings. You set up a meeting and it's beneficial in the beginning, but over time it's less beneficial, and you might be just ahead by just cutting that meeting out and stopping it, or trying to do it in a different format that doesn't take as much time. So pruning, learning the art of pruning is important. So I'm actually in my studio in the back of my house, and I'm looking out on a bunch of hydrangeas that are directly in front of me, right in my field of vision here. And those things are about 8 feet tall now. And they haven't quite blossomed yet. They'll do that later this month. But about 3 months ago, they were 18 inches high because we pruned them back so that they will yield these incredible blossoms during the summer. And we'll enjoy these for the rest of the summer and even into the fall. So eliminate. I like what Warren Buffett said. The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. You guys getting this? Give me a 1 in the chat if that resonates with you. Really successful people say no to almost everything. Hard to do, but your success depends upon it. If you can't learn to say no and eliminate some items, you really are not going to be able to grow. The only way for you to grow is just to expand your work to where it's all consuming. I don't want that for you, because that's when you have a health blowout, a relationship blow up, or something else goes haywire in your personal life. You don't want that. Look at all the ones. Fantastic. Okay, great. So let's go to strategy number 2. Automate. Automate. There are things that you're doing now that you could probably automate. By the way, I don't want to create controversy, but if you haven't looked at Chat GPT, we are saving enormous time in our company by using it. For example, sometimes when we were putting together like a special training like this, we would spend an hour, sometimes 2 hours with a small team trying to come up with a title and a subtitle. Now, you know what we do? We go to Chat GPT, describe the content, and say, give us 10 titles or 20 titles. And then we mix and match. So we've reduced that kind of commitment to honestly just a few minutes. We can get a great title and subtitle very quickly. So automation is a possibility. One of the most common ways to automate is to use templates. Everything in my life is templated. If I am going to do something more than once, then I'll ask myself the question, how can I make it go faster next time by templating it? That's the key, coming up with a template. So for example, in this special training, I have a training template. It has 9 parts, and it's kind of fill in the blank, color by number. Same thing with other kinds of live streams that I do. When we send an offer letter to a new employee, we have a template that we use. When we create a contract for our coaching clients, we don't start from scratch. We have a template. So what could you template in your business so that if you can't eliminate it, at least you can reduce the amount of time that it takes? Yes, Kristen said yes to templates on Facebook. Yes to templates. I love templates. Okay, here's the third one, and here's where a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners, a lot of business leaders struggle. Delegation. Yep. You have got to learn to delegate. If you can't, I'm going to just be clear. If you can't learn to delegate, you cannot grow your business. You're going to become the lid on your business. If you think to yourself, you're the only person that can do it, that's a problem. And the biggest mistakes that business owners make when it comes to delegation, there are actually 3. And let me just give those to you real quick. Number 1, they hesitate because they think to themselves, nobody could do this as well as I do it. Well, what if they could? What if somebody out there could do it actually better than you do it? It's possible. I've got a team full of people just like that do the things that are not in my desire zone and do them far better than I do them. Sometimes business owners hesitate because they think it takes longer to teach somebody how to do it. I might as well just do it myself, right? Have you ever said that to yourself? I certainly have. But here's the problem with that. Yes, it does take longer to teach somebody how to do that thing that you're really good at, but only the first time. You make the investment, you get them trained, you get them up and running, then you start to experience an exponential return on the investment. But unfortunately, a lot of leaders expect the people that they've delegated to read their minds. And nobody can read your mind, not your spouse, not your best friend, nobody. You've got to be explicit and you've got to tell people what you want them to do. So to hesitate, that's the biggest mistake or the first mistake that business leaders make when it comes to delegation. But there's the second one, and that is they abdicate. I call it the dump and run. You're really busy, you're running out the door, you give something to your executive assistant or to a teammate, but you're not clear, you're not direct. Again, you're expecting people to read your mind. And then when they bring back the output or they finish the assignment, you're shocked because it's not even close to what you expected. The problem is you didn't make it clear what you expected. And so don't abdicate. But here's even a worse one, I think, or a third mistake. First one, hesitate. Second one, abdicate. Third one, suffocate. This is the micromanager, the person who just suffocates the people by over-managing the situation. Now, you need to have check-in points. I'm not opposed to that. But you can't sit on top of somebody like a chicken on an egg and expect anything good to come about it. I literally left a great job working for a great company soon after I finished college. And the reason I left that job was because I had a boss. It was a dream job. I was an editor in the book publishing world. I'd aspired to that for years. But I left it after 6 months. It's what got me to Nashville for me to come to work at Thomas Nelson because I was being suffocated by my boss. Okay. So eliminate, automate, delegate. Here's your next action item. You're going to eliminate, automate, or delegate all of your drudgery zone activities. Okay, that's all I'm asking. You don't have to work in the disinterest zone. You don't have to work in the distraction zone. For now, focus on the drudgery zone, the kind of stuff that when you get up in the morning, you see these items on your task list, you just kind of sigh. You go, ugh, I got to do that thing, that expense report or, managing my calendar, booking travel or whatever it is. Oh, those are my things. They may not be your things. And this is, we're going to go back to the task filter. Okay, so what I want you to do for each of these items that are in your drudgery zone, I want you to pick a strategy. And we want to start, first of all, with elimination. Because here's the thing, you don't want to automate what you could eliminate, and you don't want to delegate what you could eliminate or automate. So what could you eliminate that's in your drudgery zone? Maybe it just doesn't need to be done at all. So for example, down here at the very bottom, meet with employee candidates. I just said, no, I need to eliminate that. I'm not very good at it. I don't enjoy it. And I just need to be out of the loop. I trust my team to do that. Automation, record podcast episodes. Now, how do we automate it? Well, we have a template and we batch produce them. So it doesn't completely eliminate them, but it reduces the pain. And then if you look on delegate, so this is where a great executive assistant can come in. Jim, who's my executive assistant, is great at processing my email inbox, managing my calendar, doing expense reports, all that stuff. So I just delegate it to him. Okay? Again, I'm going to give you a link to this handout at the end of this training. But for right now, I just want you conceptually to get this. Guys, this is going to make a huge difference for you. This is going to make your task list actually manageable. Okay, so now we need to go to the very next step, which is number 4 by my count, and that's to redesign your daily task list. Now, a while back, when I was writing my book, Free to Focus, we did some research with our clients, and we said, on average, for those of you that use a task management system of some sort, how many tasks do you have on your daily list, just on average? You know what the answer was? 15 on average. 15. Now, the problem is when you have 15 items on your daily task list, you know how you wake up? You wake up overwhelmed. You think, oh my gosh, there is no way that I can get all this stuff done today, right? If I could get halfway through it, it'd be awesome. And so maybe at the end of the day, you get 8 of the 15. That's more than half. But you still go to bed defeated. You've created a game that you can't win. I like what David Allen says. He wrote the book, Getting Things Done. He says you can do anything you want. You just can't do everything you want. Does that resonate with you? It does with me. You can do anything you want. You just can't do everything you want. So let me suggest a way for you to do this. Now, you don't have to do this this is a planner page from the Full Focus Planner. It's one of our day pages. And let me just zoom in on this a little bit. And so here's how it works. If you're going to use, just a legal pad or whatever, you could do it there. But here's what we do first. First thing, what's the date on the page? And then let's fill in our discretionary or non-discretionary time, the appointments, the commitments that we've already made that are going to take a chunk out of our day. This will allow us to see how much free time we have for discretionary activity. So the appointments are non-discretionary. Then we encourage our clients and our customers to come up with, and we call it this, the daily big 3. Now, there's 2 requirements for the daily big 3. It has to be related to an important project or related to one of your quarterly goals. This ensures that you're making steady, consistent progress toward the things that matter most, so that you're not caught on that hamster wheel of a whole bunch of activity, trying to get a whole bunch of tasks done that in the end don't mean that much. So the daily big three, what are the three most important things you need to accomplish today as it relates to either a project or a goal that you've set for yourself this quarter? Okay? Then you can put your other tasks. These are the things that if you get time, if you get done with your daily big three, and I advise stick to your daily big three until you finish those. Oftentimes I'll finish them by lunch. And then all this other stuff is just bonus activity. But you're going to declare victory once you've achieved your daily big three. Okay? Now that may sound stupid simple, and it is. It's not that fancy. It's not that sophisticated. But our Business Accelerator coaching clients say this is the single biggest hack that's helped them to recover up to 10 to 12 hours a week by getting focused on their daily big three. For the first time, they feel like they're winning at work. So if you want to get past the burnout, past the overwhelm, I want to invite you to take a 30-day challenge. I'm going to call it the Big Three Challenge. You know, maybe you're a little skeptical. Maybe you think this won't work for you. Well, test it. You know, I promise you, we've run tens of thousands of people through our training on this very thing, how to use the planner, how to use it in the context of a work environment. And we've never had a negative report. Almost everybody reports this. This is a huge game-changing practice. Okay? So the 30-day Big Three Challenge, if you're willing to take that challenge, then I want you to give me a three. Give me a 3 in the comments. I want to know you guys are still with me. Okay? I'll take another sip of water here. Love this. Jumpstart Business Builder says 4 years in our full focus planner. Never looking back. The daily big three has been a total game changer. Thank you for sharing that. Dawn says 3. She's in. Great. Who else is in? Okay, Heather, Jennifer, George, Kathy. They just keep coming. Brian, Maureen, fantastic. Excellent, guys. Okay, so let's get to our 5th step. And this is for you to recruit a coach to accelerate your progress. This has been so important in my own career in business development. I got my first coach right after I had that conversation with Gail in the den. You remember the one I started the story with, where she said to me, I'm never home. And she said she feels like a single mom. And if you weren't here at the beginning, it was a story I told about me just being a workaholic. And so I recruited a coach because I said, I really don't know how to navigate this. I need somebody that can help me get my life back so that I'm not sacrificing my family and my personal health on the altar of my own ambition. And so I hired a coach, and it made all the difference. Andy Stanley says it this way. He's probably my favorite speaker ever. He says, you may be good. You may even be better than everyone else. But without a coach, you will never be as good as you could be. Now, it's not any wonder that the best athletes in the world have at least one coach. Many of them have many coaches. You know, Tiger Woods, when he was at the apex of his game, he didn't just have one coach. He had 3 coaches. You know, he had a short game coach. He had a putting coach. He had a driving coach. Because to perform at that level, you need help. And if you want to perform at a higher level, if you want to go further, faster, you really need a coach. And I really believe this. Now, I'm a little biased because we have a coaching program. I'm going to tell you about it in a minute. But what I thought, whether you hire one of our coaches or not, I want to give you 3 questions to ask before hiring a coach so that you've got a framework for evaluating what kind of coach you need. Because the truth is that there are a lot of coaching programs out there. You know, Business Accelerator is our coaching program. I like to think it's the best, but there are other coaching programs out there, and lots of them are good. But I want to give you 3 criteria. And here's what I would ask if I were shopping for a coach. By the way, I've had 5 coaches in 20 years. 5 coaches in 20 years. Every one of them, I learned from them. Every one of them accelerated my growth. Every one of them took my business to the next level. So first of all, The question I would ask is, do they get the results I'm after? Now, if you're only after business results, that opens up a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of coaches out there that focus solely on your business results. But if you want results that are not only business related, but personal related, if you want that double win that I talked about at the very beginning of this training, if that's what you want, you need to have a coach that can get you there, that delivers those kinds of results. Now, I can tell you in the Business Accelerator program, on average, our clients in the first year of the program grow their revenue, and this is hard to believe, but we've surveyed them and continue to survey them, they grow by 67%, their revenue. And they regain 10 to 12 hours a week. So if those are the kind of results you're looking for, we're a great coaching program, but you might be looking for different kind of results, but get clear on the results you expect. Secondly, do they have the right format? Now, when I first started out in coaching, when I was being coached, it was a one-on-one coach. And then I went to another one-on-one coach. And I thought the one-on-one coaching system was, the best. I thought, I got that personal attention and all that. Then I got into a group coaching program, and I thought that was amazing because I had the peer support from a community, people that had been there, done that, people that could advise me and brainstorm with me and give me feedback on ideas. And I thought group coaching was fantastic. What I've come to believe, and this is what we have in Business Accelerator, we do both. We have what we call quarterly coaching intensives, all-day meeting once a quarter here in Nashville, Tennessee, or virtually, and then a one-on-one coach, one of my colleagues assigned to you to deal with your specific situation on a biweekly basis. So what's the format you want? Personally, I would try to find somebody that had both group coaching and one-on-one coaching. Third, do they have the right training? Now, the truth is, this is not a licensed profession. So somebody can hang out a shingle, hang themselves out as a coach, and never really gotten any training. We train our coaches extensively. They know our frameworks. They know our tools. They have access to all of our resources. They are fully trained before we unleash them on our clients. So those are the three questions I'd be asking if I was interviewing a coach. So here's an action item for you. Just explore it. Look at it. It might be the single biggest or the single best, maybe the biggest too, but the best investment that you make this year in terms of accelerating your own personal growth and your business growth. Now, at this point, you may think you've got a long path ahead of you. Maybe you've heard these 5 steps and you thought to yourself, gosh, I want to implement those, but it feels overwhelming. Maybe it feels like you're the glue that holds your company together. And if you take your wheel or your hands off the steering wheel, the whole thing is going to careen into the ditch. Or maybe you feel like these are possible, but you want to get them implemented faster. That's when you need to consider a coach. And if you feel any of that, you're frankly in good company. Most of our clients feel that way when they start working with us. They don't know quite where to start or how to get all this stuff implemented or how to really improve their business or their personal life. Some of them just refuse to hire a coach, and for a long time they did that and they just kind of doubled down on the effort and they just got to burnout faster, right? I mean, you can do this yourself. I kind of sometimes consider building a business on your own without a coach. You can do it, but the odds are against you because the truth is 20% of all new businesses fail within the first 5 years. This, by the way, is the Small Business Association's own data. 20% of those that survive the first 5 years, again, 80% fail in the first 5 years. Of the 20% that survive, 80% of those will fail in the next 5 years, which means you have, if you do the math, a 4% chance of your business lasting 10 years. So why wouldn't you have a coach? So what I want to suggest to you is that you book, and this is what I'm offering to you today, a business growth coaching call with one of our business consultants. This is a free call. It's a 45-minute call with one of our professionals who will take a dive into your business and help you see where the low-hanging fruit is. Where are the things where you can make progress the fastest? Whether you continue with us in a coaching relationship or not, this 45-minute free call will be invaluable. Now, if it's a fit, as you go through this business growth coaching call, if you feel comfortable with the consultant, if you feel like it's been useful, and if he feels like you'd be a fit for the program, then he will invite you to apply for the program. And it's not for everybody. I'm just going to tell you right now. For starters, our program works best for businesses that have annual revenue of at least $500,000. We don't really work with startups. We work with businesses that at least have some initial traction and are really trying to go to the next level. Particularly, listen to me, if you're trying to get to the 7-figure number on revenue or the 8-figure number, that's where we're focused. Those are the kind of people that we can help. But in this business growth coaching call, and again, you go to businessaccelerator.com/win or scan the QR code in front of you. You can go there and schedule a call. And if it's right, they'll tell you about the program. They'll invite you into it. No obligation, though. This is just, one of those things that I feel like you owe it to yourself. This literally, even if you don't do coaching with us, this literally could be the most consequential conversation that you have this year. Our business consultants are that good. They do this all day long, every day. They can spot problems. They know frameworks. They know how to cut to the chase and how to give you the help you need. Here's, by the way, what a few of our current clients have to say. Alan Fuller said, Business Accelerator has been transformational for our business. Helps me, helps our teams, and sets us up for success. Great investment, end quote. Mindy Kramer said this. She said, Business Accelerator helps you break through so many ceilings with an amazing community of people who are invested in each other. And the community is amazing. And then Renee Schulte said, Business Accelerator helps me be around other amazing business owners. I don't have that in my day-to-day life. In addition to the coaching, the network is so beneficial. And as a result, I've doubled my income this last year. Highly recommended. And these are just a few of the hundreds of testimonies that we've got from our clients. So again, I just want to say that this call is totally worth it. We had somebody, Amanda Gardern, who said, I did this call last year, and in even a short amount of time, I discovered something huge that I later implemented. It's so worth it. So this discovery call could be fantastic to you. Now, I want to really give you an incentive to book this because I know this call is going to help you. So here's the deal. I'm going to offer you, for booking the call and showing up, something we call the Leadership Book Bundle. Leadership is not a skill that's inherited. It's something that can be learned. And the Leadership Book Bundle contains 5 books that are like an instruction manual for leadership mastery. And we will send you these physical books. The only thing you have to pay for is the shipping if you book the call and show up. So the first book is called Entrepreneurs Will Save the World. And this is basically an inspirational book designed to help you recover that love for your business that you may have lost because you're on the verge of burnout. No Fail Meetings is another book we're offering in this bundle. No Fail Communication, No Fail Habits, and Your World-Class Assistant. Total value of these 5 books, $125. But again, they're yours free when you book this call at businessaccelerator.com/win. Okay, let me just give you a quick summary, a recap of the 5 steps that we covered. Step number 1, and by the way, if you've got questions, I'm about to get to the Q&A. If you've got a question, precede the question with a capital Q for question and a colon so that we can scan them and see them. Okay, I don't want to miss them. Okay, so you can move from burnout to balance by taking these 5 steps. Step number 1, resist the illusion that your workload is temporary. You've got to come to the honest planet and be honest with yourself. Be honest with your family. Step number 2, recognize not all work is of equal value. Step number 3, Reduce your non-desire zone activities. Step number 4, redesign your daily task list. And step number 5, recruit a coach to accelerate your progress. Now, before I take a few questions, I want to tell you another story. I want to finish with a story. A few years ago, Gail and I went on a sabbatical, and we take a sabbatical every summer. In fact, I'm going on my 30-day sabbatical next week. But this was a few years ago. We went to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where we also celebrated our 41st anniversary. Now, this year's our 45th, so I guess this was 4 years ago. We had a great time. We went fly fishing almost every day. We went hiking almost every day. We loved it, and we did a lot of napping. It was awesome. But on the day before, our last full day, we were going to fly out the next morning. Gail said, actually the next afternoon, Gail said to me, you know what? I'd like to get up tomorrow morning and go on a hike to Jenny Lake. And I said, okay, what time do you think we need to get up? She said, well, I really want to see the sunrise. So I think we need to get up at 4 a.m. I was like, 4 a.m.? I mean, literally we'd been sleeping in our sabbatical. So I thought, wow. So the next morning, the alarm goes off and I was so tempted to hit the snooze button. But I'm glad I didn't, because I snapped this picture with my iPhone as we were driving toward Jenny Lake. I mean, amazing, breathtaking. The photo doesn't really do it justice, but it was absolutely gorgeous. So then we drove to Jenny Lake. We took the ferry to the west shore, and we went to the boat dock there. We climbed up a trail, and we went up and up and up until we got to a place called Inspiration Point. Now, Inspiration Point, overlooking Jenny Lake, you can see the entire Jackson Hole Valley, and it's gorgeous. So we literally sat for several minutes just taking it all in. There weren't that many people up at that time of the morning. We were just taking it in, drinking it in. And after a few minutes, Gail took my hand and she said, honey, thank you for providing so well for our family. But more importantly, thank you for making time for me. And I just tear up thinking about this right now. And how different that conversation was than the conversation I'd had with her in the den, you know, all those years ago when she told me that she felt like a single mom. And I thought, wow, that made it so worth it. Now, before I get to the Q&A, I just want to say this. I want you to imagine yourself living in a different reality than the one you're in right now. I don't know what your reality is, but it could be different. Imagine a day when your business is growing exponentially, but you aren't working more hours. In fact, you're working less hours than you've ever worked before. Imagine a time when you're able to take time off. You're able to attend to your health. You're in the best shape of your life. You're able to really invest in your family in a way that you know they deserve. This doesn't happen by accident. You know, I've been married for 45 years. I've got 5 daughters. All of them live within 30 minutes of me. I have 10 grandkids. All of them live within 5 minutes of where I'm sitting right now. That doesn't happen by accident. And yes, I made tons of mistakes, and I almost really screwed it up. But you can have a different future. You can experience that double win where your business is growing exponentially on the one hand, but you're experiencing success in life, personal freedom. And so what I want to suggest again is that you book that business growth coaching call. Don't snooze. Don't hit the snooze button. Book that call. Okay, I'm going to take your questions. All right, I'm going to try to scroll it through these, and probably the easiest way for me to do this. George says, what do you recommend for startups? I don't really, George, have a recommendation for a startup. And somebody else, I think, asked the question, and she said, just curious why we don't work with startups. And it's because usually startups don't have the resources, frankly, to hire us or to do what we recommend. So there needs to be a little bit of momentum. We want to have your, the concept, your, whatever it is, your product or your service offering. There's got to be some proof in the pudding. So you're a little bit further along, but it's just, we can't be all things to everybody. And we just know based on our own experience, the people we serve best are the people that have got at least $500,000 in revenue. By the way, that's not the only criteria. We want to work with people that are growth minded and have an abundance mindset. These are critical to success. All right, Stephen, thank you. Stephen said he booked it. Fantastic. Okay. John said, will the coaching benefit performing artists? That's a really good question. It is if you're trying to make a business out of your art. And we do have artists in our program. So you could be a musician. You could be, a fine artist, a commercial artist. You could be any number of things. But if you're trying to make a business out of that, like for example, and this is somebody that I know personally, and he's not in our coaching program, but I play Native American flute. In fact, there's one on the shelf behind me. And I took lessons from Johnny Lipford for a number of years. Johnny has turned his passion into playing the Native American flute into a full-on business. He has courses for sale. He sells Native American flutes. He's got an entire business built around his passion and his proficiency. And oh man, is he proficient. So if that's you, then you want to build a business around it, John, then this could be, in fact, very helpful. Jennifer says, how do you manage your email? This is my biggest struggle. Well, I don't. I've delegated it. You know why? Because it's in my drudgery zone. I'm not good at it. I'm not proficient at it. I also have zero passion around it. Now, it still needs to be done. I probably get 120, 130 messages a day. But the only ones I have to deal with are the ones that my executive assistant can't handle. And so he delegates those back to me. He's the one that's managing my inbox. And I will typically get 3 to 5 messages a day that he can't handle. And he refers back to me for me to answer on my own. That's manageable. And we teach you that entire strategy in the Business Accelerator program. So again, let me encourage you, don't get ahead of yourself. You don't have to make a decision on the coaching. What I do want you to do is make a decision to have the call with one of our business growth consultants. It's free. And you're going to get the business or the leadership book bundle for free with the cost of shipping if you book the call and show up. You got nothing to lose here. A little bit of shipping cost. That's it. And your time. Again, it could be the most consequential conversation that you have this year. Okay, I'm going to keep scrolling up and see if I've missed any. Okay. Nicole, I think I answered your question about startups. Any other questions up here? Anything else? Maureen said, love that. I have 5 sisters and we live within 2 hours of each other. That's awesome. Well, family is very important to us, as you could probably tell. Okay, Jumpstart Business Builders says, as a coach, I have coached many startup businesses to 6 to 8 figures. Finally decided it's my turn. Sad it took that long to get me here. Would these business references, along with a growth and abundance mindset, qualify us for your program? Probably. It depends on where you're at. We do sometimes make exceptions to the $500,000 rule if you're on a trajectory that you could probably get there if we're convinced you can get there within 12 months. But again, that's another reason to book the call. Let me encourage you to do that, and you can suss that out with one of our business growth consultants. Okay, Nicole says, I'd love to hire a PA or EA to help 10x myself, but have some trepidation around how to get the right person. Yeah, because you don't want to hire the wrong person. We spend an entire day in Business Accelerator, and I'll give you some tips here in a minute. I'm not just punting to the program, but we spend an entire day on working with an executive assistant, including how to find a world-class executive assistant. And there are a lot of services out there that will actually do the screening and hire a world-class assistant, and then you essentially lease that person on an hourly basis, on a part-time basis. So the way I got started, when I started Full Focus, I couldn't afford to hire somebody full-time because I had no cash flow. I'm trying to gin up this business from scratch, but I finally convinced myself that I could afford 10 hours a week. So I hired somebody for 10 hours a week. It was amazing because it freed me up from those kinds of drudgery zone activities that were keeping me bogged down and keeping me from doing the things that would generate the revenue that would advance my business. So I hired this executive assistant for 10 hours a week, a virtual assistant from another service. It was actually from Belay Solutions. And then within about less than a month, I said, we've got to go to 15 hours a week. And then we got to go to 20 hours a week. And eventually it was full time. So there's really no excuse today. You can get started pretty easily, Nicole. And I would suggest that you use one of those services. There are a lot of virtual assistant services out there. Belay Solutions, again, is another one that you could start with. It's one that we often recommend. But start with them. Start with a minimal number of hours and just see how far you get. Okay. I'm not seeing any other questions here. If you guys don't have anything else, I'm going to let you go. But there's one thing I want to leave you with. There's one final concept that I want to teach you. And oh, by the way, I just remembered that I need to send you, write this down, fullfocus.co, not com, fullfocus.co/task filter. /task filter. That's that cool little handout, and it has the Freedom Compass on the back of it, but that cool little handout that you can use to filter your tasks. Okay, I want to talk to you about something called the law of diminishing intent, and this is how I'm going to close. This is a concept I first heard from Jim Rohn, and he says the longer you wait to take action, the less likely you are to take action. The longer you wait to take action, the less likely you will be to take action, right? The likelihood of you taking action right now, this is when you need to take action. You're the most motivated, you need to book this call. If you think to yourself, no, I'm going to wait till tomorrow, or I'm going to wait till Friday, I'm going to tell you something. That's probably why your business is not growing like it needs to grow, because you're overthinking it. You know, rather than taking action, you're stuck in hesitation. I don't want that to happen for you. You need to take action. Don't hit that snooze button. This is an opportunity for you to level up your business and level up your life. Don't miss this. Some of you are taking advantage of it already. You've let me know in the comments. Some of you are thinking about it. I'm just saying, you know, it's time to do something. It's time to take action. Time to do something different. And I really think a coach could be all the difference. Guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I've had a blast with you. I hope this has been helpful to you, and I'll look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks.